Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be talking about metric conversion chart. So this thing that they always present in Chem 1 and you even have it in other classes as well. They'll have it like in almost all of the introductory science classes. And it's something that follows you in all of your science classes because if you have to do math problems in physics, they'll say, oh, calculate these micrometers and put it in whatever. And so you have to know that in physics, you have to know that in chemistry. I think they even have in anatomy, they'll just say, oh, this is like a nanometer. So you need to know what it means, is what I'm trying to say. And you need to know how to convert from one form to another form. So I'm pre-med and I have a 4.0. So I had to do all these classes. So I know the tips and tricks to memorizing this material and I'm sharing it with you guys. So if you really want more tips and tricks, please follow me here. Scroll to the top of this page, click YouTube and click follow and help your girl out because it really takes time to make this. And let's jump back into the video. So before I begin officially, I speak multiple languages. I speak 4 languages, but growing up, I would speak English and Spanish at home. And so some of these mnemonics I actually put in Spanish and some in English. And I think it's fine because I feel like most people have taken Spanish at least one time in high school. And sometimes the numbers is something that actually sticks with people. So I'm not going to go into like complicated numbers. I'm going to go into like the most basic ones that people know. And if not, you get a free Spanish lesson. And if so, that's great and you'll make more connections. But if you are completely monolingual, then that's fine too, because I have ones that are just completely in English. So kind of pick and choose what works for you, and hopefully these tips and tricks help you out. So let's actually begin. Growing up, I remember learning the following: King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. And that goes with the following: kilo, hecto, deca, base, deci, centi, and milli. Unfortunately, in college, you have to learn more than that. So I put from 10 to the 12th to 10 to the negative 15th, but there is more than that. And yes, there is more than that. But I feel like these are the main ones that people go over, especially those that are in physics or in engineering or in chemistry. And so if you know these, I think you're pretty much set. Femto I barely used, but still, just in case they throw that at you, the last 2, pico and femto. But sometimes you'll see that in physics, and so that's why I included those. Okay. So let's get into this. These are my tricks. So someone asked me the other day, how do you remember which is which? And honestly, it is memorization, but at the same time, I did kind of come up with my own ways to remember this material. So that's what I'm doing today. So for T is tera. T for 12. Can't get any more basic than that. Then you have giga and mega. So giga, I came up with, for example, you can say grande and then mediano, but still that would not really help you remember why it's going to be like that, like giga being 9 or mega being 6. But if you know that mega is 6, you also know that micro is 6, but in the negative, because both of them begin with M, mega and micro. So that's how I remember that one. Kilo, I just think kilometer, and I know that most of people know what a kilometer is. I hope so. If not, that was in middle school and or in high school. And pretty much what that is you have 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. So kilo for 1,000. So if you do 10 to the 3, I mean, that's 1,000. It's 10 times 10 times 10. 10 times 10 is 100 times 10 is 1,000. So that one's really self-explanatory. Then you have hecto. Hecto is 100. H for 100. Then you have deca. And notice that you have DA and not D, because D would be deci and DA stands for deca. And here's where my Spanish comes in. D for diez, which is 10. And that's fitting because it's only 10. It's to the first power. Then you have deci, which is also 10, but it's in the negative 1. So in reality, what you have is 0.1. And then here you have 0.01. And then here you have 0.001. And it's telling you the place. So for example, this is to the tens place. Centi is to the hundreds place. Milli is to the thousands place. And again, for deci, to recap, I think diez, like in Spanish. Centi, I think cien, again in Spanish, which is 100. And milli, I think mil, like in Spanish, which is 1,000. But all of these that end with I are actually in the negatives. I mean, that's not true in Spanish. Like, deci would be just 10. It's not 0.1. But if you think about it in that way, it kind of helps you remember, oh, okay, the ones that end with an I are going to be in the negative. So it's going to be 0.1 or 0.01 or 0.001. I hope you understand what I mean by that. Like, mil is literally 1,000, but it's not 0.001. But it helps you remember that it's going to be in the thousands place, is what my point is. Okay, micro, like we said, the M's are the sixes. So mega is 10 to the 6 and micro is 10 to the negative 6. Then you have nano, which is perfect because it's 9, and nueve in Spanish is 9. So that one works out perfectly. Then pico, I thought about writing it, and I like it, so I'll write it down. But so in Spanish, we have like picar, like which is to eat. And it's informal, obviously. It's not formal Spanish, like quiero picar algo, like quiero comer algo, you know? So if you think about it, el almuerzo would be when you want to eat, and almuerzo is lunch, and that's at 12 o'clock. So you can remember pico is for 12, negative 12. And lastly, you have femto, which is negative 15, which is the F. I hope that helped for you to remember at least the majority of them. Again, I had a good mix of English and Spanish in there. So pick and choose what actually works for you. But before I finish the video, I just wanted to include one more thing that I think is actually really important. So when people do the conversion chart, I'm gonna write it in the next page actually. There's 2 ways of doing it. So what do I mean by that? To give an example, and I'll make another video in giving more examples, but I just wanted to kind of give you a sneak peek of how you would actually go about this. So if you have 25 grams and you want to convert it to milligrams, you have 2 ways of saying it. So going back to the top, you see that milli is 10 to the negative 3. So you can either say you have 10 to the negative 3 grams, which is what the conversion actually says, in 1 milligram, or you can say you have 1,000 milligrams in 1 gram. And it's not, neither is incorrect. They're just 2 different ways of saying the same thing. So, for example, my mom, she is my mom, and I am her daughter. I'm saying the same thing, just from a different standpoint. So in the same way, I can say there's 1,000 milligrams in a gram, or there's 10 to the negative 3 grams in a milligram. And that gets important when you're doing actual conversions. So you need to choose one and stick with it. Stick with what makes sense in your brain. For me, whenever I have problems, I just think, okay, if it's a kilogram, I think, okay, in 1 kilogram, there's 1,000 grams. And that's how I do the conversions. Now, for some people, they actually enjoy the way that the school teaches, and they're like, okay, well, I'm going to do 10 to the 3 gram, which is fine because it's actually the same thing. But like in the negatives, like this one, the milligram, there's 10 to the negative 3 grams in a milligram. It doesn't click with my brain, but if it clicks with yours, that's amazing. But I just wanted to show you that there's actually 2 different ways to do it. So if you enjoyed this video, again, please follow me here and on YouTube, and thanks again for watching.